The product manager identifies a problem faced by customers by talking to them, by conducting focus group discussions and personal interviews, or conducting market research, doing a lot of competitive analysis, and essentially building the roadmap as per their vision of where they want to take the product a few years down the line, and then breaking it up into smaller increments which will be delivered every couple of weeks or every couple of months.
I think it is very important, to decide for a product manager what kind of right feature can help business grow. And I think today's it is very important for us to give the right requirement for a feature.
Taking 5 years to deliver a product in its first version to the market can be suicide for a young startup.
Hi all, my name is Ishan Agarwal. I am an IIT and ISB alumnus. Currently, I'm working as a senior product manager in Bajaj Finserv Health. I'll be your host for today. Before I go ahead, a couple of words about Seekamentor. This session has been organized by Seekamentor, which is an IIM alumnus founded online mentorship program. Seekamentor aims to make quality mentorship more accessible and personalized. What you're seeing right now is the next episode of Seekamentor's Industry Connect series on product management. Industry Connect programs bring you the rich knowledge and experience of industry leaders to you. We engage with industry professionals on the most interesting industry relevant topics and bring their insights onto the table. Let us know in the comments if you want us to cover a particular topic. We also have free resources and live courses, and you can also book one-on-one session with your preferred mentor today. If you're interested to know more, please click out on the link in the description below. There's a lot that product management role offers today in the industry, and it is one of the role where you can take complete ownership of a product success. Deep diving more into it, today we are going to learn about what is product management, what are features, what are requirements, and finally, how to roll out a feature in the market. Our guest for today is Mr. Arun Sreelalan Iyer. Arun is a product manager, industry speaker, and consultant with over 8 years of experience in product management. He currently leads technical product management at Bajaj Finserv Health and has previously worked at Microsoft, Ola, McKinsey, and UiPath. He has experience in developing products and features for mobile apps and websites, both in the B2B and B2C domains. Arun is an industry speaker and a mentor and has delivered several lectures at education and edutech institutes, including Upgrad, ISB, IMABC, and Christ University. Over to you, Arun. We would want to learn more about product management, starting from the point, what is product management?
Thank you very much, Ishan, and welcome all participants to the Seekamentor platform. My name is Arun, and I hope we have an interesting and rich discussion today. So the first question is, what is product management? Product management now seems to be going up the buzzword curve. It seems to be at the point where data science and data analytics were a couple of years ago, and not too many people either new to the industry or already having a lot of experience in their careers seem to fully understand what product management is. Some think it is essentially the same as general management in traditional industrial and manufacturing companies. Some believe it's the same as project management and PMO, which used to exist earlier. So what is product management? Product management, in a nutshell, is a discipline or a role that seeks to efficiently deliver value to target customers, right? So that's what a product manager does, or that is the outcome that they bring about as part of their role. Now, this may seem quite high level, so let's break it down a bit. Many of you, if you have spoken to friends or colleagues who are product managers in companies, especially in software or tech companies, and you ask them what they do as a product manager or what does a product manager do, they might give you this very cliche answer, which says that the product manager is the CEO of their feature. Now, that is one way of looking at things, but it is a little incomplete because unlike a CEO, a product manager often does not have authoritative control over the resources or the people who work with them. Instead, they need to be able to get buy-in for their ideas and be able to convince their team members to work together towards a common shared purpose or vision and make that successful. So product management lies at the intersection of UX, technology, and business. UX is user experience or user experience research. That is, how do you bring about a great experience or a great sense of satisfaction for a user when they use your product? Technology is how to deliver this great experience, how to manufacture it in software and deliver it through the pipeline to the end customer. And business goals, of course, need to be met to ensure that you have a sustainable and thriving business. The product manager sits at the intersection of all of these three and is driving the product and the outcomes.
Thank you for a detailed answer. I think it is very important for all of us to understand, what being a product manager means, and I think this is a very well explanation of product management. But the one thing you spoke about, and it is one word which actually a product manager focuses a lot on, is the features. And I would want to know more about what are these features, and how does it fit in a normal day-to-day life of a product manager?
Great, thank you for that question, Ishan. So features are essentially capabilities or facets of the product. For this conversation, we will stick to software products, that is mobile apps and websites and so on. However, product management as a discipline is not confined only to software. It extends across traditional industrial and non-software domains as well. But for this conversation, we will stick to software. So what are features or what are software features? As I mentioned, they are capabilities of a certain product. Let's illustrate this with an example. Let's take the example of WhatsApp. A few years ago, and I hope the entire audience is familiar with WhatsApp. Up until a few years ago, WhatsApp was just a texting only platform. You could send text messages to each other over the internet, right? Very soon, they added further capabilities like audio calling, video calling, group chats, and so on. Each of these can be considered mega features. In fact, there are a lot of minor feature enhancements and extensions that come inside these mega features or sections of the app. However, at a very broad level, from the perspective of an end user, one day you might open the app and see that there is a new capability added in the app, and that is a new feature. Let's take another example of, say, Swiggy, which recently added its Instamart capability, which did not exist a few years ago. Instamart is the capability to have groceries and other items delivered to your doorstep really fast. This could be an entirely new business vertical from the point of view of Swiggy, and would have its own profit and loss reporting, its own manpower management, budgeting, and so on. From the point of view of the user, as soon as they open the Swiggy app, they would find a new section of the app with a whole bunch of feature extensions, a whole bunch of capabilities. Like, for example, you'll be able to search for certain groceries. You'll be able to choose a slot of delivery. You'll be able to apply discount codes and coupons and things. So all of these together would form the mega feature known as Instamart.
Okay, that's great to know. I think it is very important, to decide for a product manager what kind of right feature can help business grow. And I think today's it is very important for us to give the right requirement for a feature, and that is where we would want to learn more about how would you give requirement of a feature and how these are implemented, and how does product manager make sure that they get implemented in time and implemented in the right way as we want.
Thank you for the question, Ishan. So the question is, how are requirements framed and how are these implemented efficiently so that they are delivered to the customer on schedule, on budget, and with the right quality?
Right.
Now, what is a requirement? A requirement is essentially breaking down a feature into a small piece of value that can be delivered to the customer. Again, let's take a concrete example rather than speaking in abstract terms. So, and requirements can have extensions, sub requirements. It's essentially a hierarchy. So let's take the example of, say, the search bar in pretty much any app. You could take Google Assistant, you could take something like Zomato or Swiggy. When you type, the fact that there is a search bar itself could be a requirement. The capability of the app to correct for spelling mistakes. So, for example, I wanted to order ice cream and I misspelled ice cream. The app automatically was able to correct it. That could be a feature. While typing, if it shows me a drop-down list with suggestions of either types of ice cream or restaurants which would be able to provide and deliver the ice cream to my place, that could be another feature. Within those suggestions, having an image of the dish or of the restaurant, or maybe a star rating or a review comment, could be yet another feature extension and requirement. So essentially, a small piece of value that can be delivered to the customer that enhances their experience is a requirement. Now, how are these implemented? Software engineering has come a long way in the last 30 years or so. And right now, the world has embraced the Agile framework. Previously, we used to have what is known as the waterfall framework, where requirements were detailed down to the last dot and full stop. Every screen in the entire product for all edge cases, use cases, all the scenarios that wanted to be that would be covered, whether they are good to have or they are a must-have or not, all of them would be written in one long document, which would run to some hundreds or several, sometimes even thousands of pages. And figuring out this entire requirements piece could take a year or even multiple years. And so at that time, the entire delivery team, which would be the engineers and the QA engineers, would pretty much be idle or would be helping the requirements team, that is the product management team and the marketing team, frame these requirements. I'm describing the waterfall model that was earlier. After this entire requirements doc would be handed over to the delivery team, which was run by a project manager, engineering manager, and engineering teams. And these would be in implementation phase again for the next year or year and a half, and then would go on to testing. And then if there are any bugs or errors, those would be fixed, and then finally would be rolled out to the end customer. This entire process could take over 5 years. And during that time, the world could change drastically. Imagine something like, say, the Sony Walkman. It was a well thought out product, did exactly what it needed to, but it was able to last for a very short time because CDs and DVDs were quickly replaced by pen drives and then by cloud storage. So the lifetime of such technology itself in the real world can be very short. So taking 5 years to deliver a product in its first version to the market can be suicide for a young startup. Slowly, the software engineering movement itself moved to delivering small pieces of value to the customer and learning from that shipping process so that adjustments to the roadmap can be made as progress happens. So, to take an example, earlier the process was akin to firing a bullet from a rifle. Once it's fired, you couldn't do anything. If you had misaimed or you wanted to change the path of the bullet, too bad. The bullet had left the rifle and you could do nothing. Just wait for another bullet to be loaded and try again. Whereas the Agile framework is more like driving a car along a road. At every moment, you will make micro adjustments depending on the traffic, depending on the road conditions, depending on the speed at which other cars are moving or you yourself want to be moving. And it's not as though you map out the entire journey, every movement of the journey before you even get into the car. So that is a comparison of the Agile framework with the previous waterfall framework. In this, the product manager is at the core of the Agile framework. Agile itself has a few modes of deployment. You could use Scrum or you could use Kanban. Many companies essentially use a combination of the two, which is often called Scrumban. So the product manager sits at the center of this Scrumban group and works with the team every day, one, to deliver value to the customers, and number two, to get feedback from the customers and keep iterating and improving their product. So I hope that answers the question.
I think very well explained. I'm not sure if anybody would know so much about the history of user requirements and how long they have come so far here. I think the word agility or the agile framework has been used a lot, but it is interesting to know finally how much time it took for engineers and product managers to come to a point where they can deliver any product solution easily. But how do you come up? I mean, obviously there's features and there are requirements and there's a big tech team which companies would have. But how do you come up with a product solution which can actually help businesses start with the product journey? And on that note, we always hear a word called MVP, which is a minimum viable product. Could you also explain this while you talk about the product solutions?
Absolutely. So let's talk about how to ideate and come up with product solutions. And then I can take you through a quick case study of a feature that we built at Ola that can demonstrate how to design an MVP, how to take it up from the MVP or the minimum viable product version up to full rollout, what kind of metrics are to be tracked, and what kind of learning or feedback does the product manager receive from the market during this entire cycle. So let's get started. How does a product team come up with product solutions? Let's look at a textbook answer and the real world, and these are not necessarily exactly the same. So the textbook answer says that the product manager identifies a problem faced by customers by talking to them, by conducting focus group discussions and personal interviews, or conducting market research, doing a lot of competitive analysis, and essentially building the roadmap as per their vision of where they want to take the product a few years down the line, and then breaking it up into smaller increments, which will be delivered every couple of weeks or every couple of months. In practice, this does happen, though probably not as thoroughly and with as much depth as is described in textbooks, and as a idealist PM you might want it to happen. There is a significant component of guidance from senior management. So depending on where the company and the product team or the business vision is being driven, you might be asked to develop and deliver a certain feature from your senior management, and then the task comes down to figuring out how to create a rich user experience, how to extract value from the feature or product that you've been asked to deliver to the customer.